Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I believe this will be the last Hendricks the Hare video because I think I'm just about ready to do the last final stages. So what have I done since we've last been together? I've finished his legs. Everything went to plan, it wasn't too hard. Once you sort of get used to patching and stitching the arms, the legs sort of just follow suit. It is a little tricky around the toe, getting it to sort of come in with a couple little pleats and darts to sort of ease your way around the end there. You could probably make your pieces a lot smaller and it probably would be a little bit easier. But I end up sort of wrapping the toe and then popping a few random pieces coming up to the toe. And then I started embellishing with doilies, as you can see. So I sort of worked out what sides were going to be against him and then started popping doilies on to sort of give him a little extra dimension. Now I'm ready to do the attaching of these because I found some buttons, so I believe that they'll do the trick and they'll sort of be tensioned in there with needle and thread. I'm going to use my crochet cotton that I've used to stitch all the patches. So I believe that will be strong enough. Probably could find something stronger, but I think it'll do the trick. I don't think it'll break on me. So that's ready to go. The only thing I've got to do is find a needle. I did grab my grandmother's little case of knitting needles. Now, I would have thought there'd be something in there, so I'm yet to have a bit of a rummage through there, but I just grabbed it as I come into the room. What else can I tell you about the legs? Probably my only comment is I probably didn't stuff the legs enough. There's sort of a fine line to being too hard, as in overstuffed, because then you're really fighting to get your needle through. And then if you're someone that's using fabrics like suedes and denims and all those really heavy fabrics, I reckon you'd be really, really working hard. As it was pretty hard just doing what I had. But I think if I had a little bit more stuffing in his legs, especially the bottom section here, probably would have been a little bit easier. I sort of felt like it was collapsing a little bit on me. Does that make sense? So that'd be my only comment. As for positioning the legs, I don't think it'll be too hard. I think the main thing is to have them seated on the ground, like the heel. This bottom section along here needs to be on the ground. Otherwise, you're sort of not getting the benefit of having these wide, long legs to hold him up. He is standing by himself anyway with his front legs, but this will really, help him. So the legs are done, just need to find a needle. So I'll just put them out of the way. Probably could do with another doily on there. On his back of his heel. I've got a container of doilies here. It's like a little drawer that I have that sits in a, like a little box and there's two little drawers. I find it's the best way to store my doilies because I can sort of get them a little, in piles of like designs. Yeah, just needs one more. I feel like oh, what about that one? No. I feel like I'm looking at quite a large area there. My intention was this side was going to be against his body, hence it's a bigger piece. But it didn't work out that way. I don't know what went wrong, but I like this side anyway, so it's now going to be on the outside. So all I'm doing is just stitching the doilies on. So I will do this guy. I have got two on the body that I was working on doilies all over his body, but I left two there just to do them with you. But now I've got sidetracked. I've got doilies here I can do. A doily. So it's just a case of working out where you want it. He's such a scrappy boy. Just love him. He's a labour of love. So emphasis on labour, as in a lot of work. And then it's, yeah, a love-hate relationship. I was talking to Susanna yesterday. She's made one as well, Vintage Blend Studios. And she is hilarious. She had me absolutely tears coming down my cheeks laughing. She was reminiscing. She finished hers a couple of weeks ago. I've sort of been nibbling away at him whenever I don't have anything major to do in the way of my current big projects. I just pick him up and do a little bit. So he's been sitting on the chair beside me in the TV room. So it'd be good to see him gone, because you know when you walk into a room and you see a project and it's been sitting there for probably 3 months and you're just nibbling at it, after a while you just want to see it gone. It's like you feel like you've accomplished something. So today is the day. Anyway, I was talking to Susanna and she was reminiscing on her hair. She definitely had a love-hate relationship. She had a couple learnings from the experience that she overstuffs her toys, her hair. She said she's always done it. And then when you come to, you know, embellish and stitch and that on there, you've got a really hard surface. So it just creates, you know, more hassles. So, and I said, well, I think I've understuffed mine. He's a little bit saggy in a few places. Anyway, she said, oh, have you put the legs on yet? And I said, no, that's the next stage for me. And she was like, well, she couldn't find a big enough needle. I think Lesley, I don't even have the pattern here. I've gone AWOL. I haven't looked at the pattern for a few weeks. I think Lesley recommends a 12-inch needle. I said, I used to have a needle in my sewing thing here. Here it is. Yeah, see, that's not big enough. And I said to her, I just don't know if it's going to be any good. Yeah, 3.5 inches, that's not going to do it. His body would be 6 inches through his tummy. That needle's been sitting there in that pincushion, gosh, since the 80s. It's even got rust on it. That's how least used it is. So anyway, she said she only had a 6-inch needle, and if I could find something bigger, do it, because she was nearly in tears putting the legs on this hair because her needle wasn't long enough. So it was like disappearing and not coming out. Could you imagine it? And she said that she hurt her neck. Oh my goodness. She hurt her neck. I'm so sorry, Susanna, if I'm not supposed to be telling this story. It just is so funny, and I can picture it. We've all been there. We've been making a toy or something, and yeah, wrangling this thing to try and get it all together. We've all been there. So she was telling me about how she was wrestling it. She was cursing me because I was the bright spark that said, hey, let's make a hare. Look at this pattern. Isn't it gorgeous? And we thoroughly have enjoyed it. But I think the buttons and the stitching on of the legs has just about broken Susanna. It was so funny. Oh, boy. She said she hurt her neck in the process. I don't know what the hang she was doing. I don't know how it got to that stage. I haven't yet done it, so maybe I'm going to come out with a neck injury. I think it's the tools. There we go. There's that little guy on. It says don't take long to stitch on some nice little embellishments. Now, the tail. It's pretty straightforward. I end up putting one piece of fabric on, tucking it around the back of the little piece, and then stitching it down, and then I've embellished it with the edge of a crochet doily just to give it a little furry, flippy little lacy edge. Then it sat for about a month, and I could not decide what to do on the back. My thought was to cut a piece out to go on there that was in the correct shape using the pattern, and then it sort of sat there, and then I picked it up and I was doing some doilies onto the legs and the body, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I can get a circular doily to actually work. So let me show you. That's the doily, and I was able to manipulate it to the top, to the bottom, to the side, and I pinned it and then went around with needle and thread and just slip stitched it, and it worked out really well. I did have to trim back the fabric that was peeking through. I just took a little slither off all the way around, so it sort of disappeared a little bit. The only thing I can't decide now is, do I have that as the back or do I have that? So I don't know yet. I can't decide. So I'm yet to attach the tail. That seems pretty straightforward. Just a case of getting it seated to the back of him and then running a couple little stitches in there to hold his little tail in place. And I believe at a glance you would see this or that. So I'm sort of tending towards this side because the back of him, where is he? Come here, young fella. The back of him has a lot of fabric there, so maybe, let's get his legs up. There's his bottom. Maybe that would get a bit lost. Yeah, like I know it's there, but I'm thinking we use that. This it'll stand out a little bit, and it'll be just a case of getting my fingers in there and slip stitching that down all the way around, and that'll hold. I might be able to do that now. It's just tricky because he's such a big boy, and it's having the camera space to do it. So I can't imagine how else I can sort of do it other than putting the camera across the table and back at me. But even then, it's the detail, devil in the detail. That's when you're doing, you know, making something, you sort of want to see all the little steps. Okay, so straight ahead is his ears. I'll lift that off the ground a little bit, and I'm just going to get some meat on that knot of his back, just so that it's nice and secure. Then it's a case of catch that little tail, through the body, through the tail, and just sort of sneak around in there. It's not easy, but if you take your time, you'll get it. That's it. I'm working from underneath the tail at the moment. We'll just see how that goes, whether I need to put some more stitches around him from the top. I don't know. Let's just get this on now and see how secure that feels. Just working my way from that first attachment point down to the base of the little tail. So I've sort of started about there, and I'm working my way down to the bottom. So just bear with me. I wouldn't say I'm a big toy maker. I don't think I've really made many. I've made the odd doll, you know, a raggy doll with a lot of embroidery on them because I've had a pattern. You have these brain, what's the word? I can't say the word, it's a rude word. You know, when you pass wind, you have these brain explosions when you're at these craft fairs and you see these little kits and you pick one up and, oh yeah, that's nice. So I made a few dolls that I had kits, and it was around the COVID time when we were locked in. I went to my cupboard and I thought, well, I've got so many projects in there. I'm sure I'd have something I could do. And that's when I did a lot of those dolls. Just got them made. Some of them, the patterns I'd had for like 30 years. That's embarrassing. Okay. That's as far as I want to go because I don't want to pull that tail too close to his body. So what I am going to do now is rethread. And I'll go back in. You can see how it's secure there. Let me turn him a little bit. You can see how he's secure there, but I just feel like I need probably a little bit more. I don't want him touching his body right to the top, but I think I could probably sneak a couple more little stitches in just to, like, it's not bad, but I think maybe a couple more stitches just to make sure it's okay. Now the bottom, while we're catching up on what I've done, now the bottom, I went to, like this, I went to put it aside and go, well, I'll cut a piece of fabric to sit on the very bottom. And I just never got there. And when I was doing the doilies, once again, I ended up cladding his bottom with a big doily. And it worked beautifully, and I really, really like it. So it was, yeah, really good. So just another suggestion for you. So I'm going to attempt to get my needle in there, anchor it, make sure that I've got a good foundation before I start putting a bit of tension on it. Then it's a case of catch his tail where I think needs to be, back through his body, catch his tail again. That's Bandit saying good morning. Sun's coming up, so he's letting me know that it's time for breakfast. Or he can hear a walker with a puppy dog. Either way, he's awake. That's better. I just feel like that feels a little bit. I do one more stitch. Oops, there goes my phone. One more. That's better. I'd rather overstitch it than understitch it, because then you got like a floppy tail. You know what little kids are like if they pick up Bunny to give him a hug. You don't want to be sitting there going, oh, look at that tail, it's about to fall off. There we go. One bunny tail. How gorgeous. Just a few little stitches to hold him on. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is I went back over my rabbit and just started popping a few doilies on. So I put a big one there and another one on his shoulder here and a second one lapping. That I haven't stitched yet, so I was going to do that with you guys. I then went to his back of his ears and I just felt like I could drift a little bit of decoration up onto his ears. So that one went on, those two little ones went on. What else did I do? Turn him around. I put that one on there. I did have one planned for around this region, down, whoops, you can't even see, down here, but the legs are going to go there. So every time I sort of thought about doing something there, I was like, hang on a minute, there'll be legs. So that's where a leg will go in there. That there, I wished I had have moved it over a fraction. I just sort of feel like I'm getting it covered, but having said that, I haven't yet got the legs on, so it mightn't be as bad. It might still be okay. That'd be probably a learning. I think that's it. So, oops, I have a needle and thread in here ready to go. Come on, Mr. Hare. Let's get some things out of the way. And I'm just going to now stitch on the very last doily combo. I think he's to the point of finding a needle and doing those big legs of his into position. Oh, I know what else I was wanting to do. On the Facebook site that Lesley has set up for all the Hendricks Hare participants, there was a couple that popped up about a month ago and they had gorgeous big whiskers on their hairs, and I thought, oh, what a great idea. So in the back of my mind, I've had plans for whiskers on his face. But I had nothing here other than, say, some yarn, some wool, some embroidery threads. There's just nothing jumped out as being very good for whiskers. I sort of felt like it needed to be something nearly acrylic or plastic or even leather. So I just sort of shelved the idea. And then I went to the Sewing Lair down at Beenleigh, that's in Brisbane. And I did a Etsy share, actually, about a week or so ago. No, a month or so ago. And I found they had a wall of bits and pieces that you would use for jewellery making. And I found this. I don't think it's leather. I think it's vinyl. Yeah, it's very soft. So what I'm hoping is threading some of this into him to make some floppy whiskers. So that's the plan with that. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. At first I nearly didn't buy it because I thought, oh, black. I want black, not brown. But then I put it back on the shelf, walked around a little bit, and I thought, oh, he's got a brown eye and there's brown tones. I'm really pleased I picked it up because I think it'll work a treat. I think it'll look rather cute. I've got no idea how I'm going to do it, but I think I can come up with something. I'm thinking maybe I have a piece that goes right through his snout with a knot either end, so it's sort of got a knot against his body and then out it comes. So either way it can't be pulled out. So that's sort of how I'm thinking of approaching it. A nice long piece that would come in one cheek and out the other, and then a little knot. But I'm sure I'll figure out a way. I've never put whiskers on a rabbit before. Okay, let me just get my position here. Just working my way around that doily. I've had a few people ask, you know, when cutting up some of these lacy doilies, how, you know, do I worry about them coming apart? No, not at all, because crocheting really is a series of knots. It's knot after knot, layer upon layer of knots. You can snip it anywhere and it's very unlikely that it'll actually come apart. It might if it's a real lacy, knotless type of crocheting. You know, there's like lots of cotton, then the knots, and then cotton and knots, you know, to create quite a delicate design. But these types of doilies, no, not at all. You can snip away and it just, within a millimetre, there's another 10 knots. That's the beauty of crocheting. So don't be shy. And a lot of them are actually mass-made doilies. You can tell, you'll get used to it. You'll be able to tell ones that, say, someone's made and they've ended up at the op shop. Those I tend to keep because they're a little bit special. You know, someone in their home has made them. But the majority of doilies that I use are mass-made. Looking at this here now, that is a handmade doily, I would say. Look, at the end of the day, it is a bit tricky to tell. But some of these, that one and that one, for example, they're mass-made. They are made in factories, masses of them. You'll probably remember there was a bit of a trend early 90s, 80s. There were linen parties and you could buy crocheted tablecloths, crocheted bedspreads, runners, doilies, and they all had a similar sort of pattern. You'll get used to seeing those patterns because they're at so many op shops. So they were all mass made. They were made by hand, don't get me wrong. They were definitely crocheted, but they're not a grandma making one independent design. So I have no problem cutting them up because there's just thousands of them out there. They're only going to landfill. So don't be afraid to chop up a doily. And when I do use them, I put a few stitches in around the centre, but I really focus on that outer edge, and I'm sort of heading there now. And I just do little stitches right around that edge. So, excuse me, I'm not sort of then worried that it's going to be flicking up and catch on things. So I just take my time and just scoot around the perimeter of a little doily, like so. I just like the look they add, plus recycling. And if you've got some that you own, or you've had a prolific crocheter in your family and you'll never use them all, or you know they're sitting in the cupboard, well, add them to something, use them, bring a little bit of that family history into a piece that you're making. I cannot see what the problem is with that. There will be some that you'll look at and go, nah, the work's just too beautiful, we'll keep them. But if there's a few that you're like, oh, I could probably repurpose those, I think it's lovely. I know my grandmother crocheted and crocheted and crocheted. She was a very, very good crocheter. And I know she'd be just absolutely stoked to see some of her pieces on my work, because she would always say, I've never thought of doing that. You know, she was always very encouraging. So I'm positive, absolutely positive. There's definitely some patterns when I look at it, I go, oh boy, that was a lot of work. I would never cut those up. Never. They're special. You can tell, especially the fine stuff. But this bigger thread, it's quick to crochet. She probably would have done it in a weekend. You can just tell. It's those pretty fine ones. They're the ones that get me, because I know how fine that hook would have been. Oh my goodness. I've got some of her hooks and they're tiny. Tiny. I can crochet, but it gets me in the wrist a bit because it can be a repetitive action. Oh, how did I do that? There's the knot hanging out here. Look at that. The thread's hanging out. Goodness sakes. What I'll do is I'll finish off, because I'm back where I started now. Then I might try and snip that knot, rethread the needle, and get it into the fabric. Okay. Where is it? So those two little ones are now in position. Maybe there was a knot there underneath. No. This is finicky, but I'll just weave the needle in and then attempt to get the thread. Got it. Nope. Oh my goodness. The things we do. Okay. It's in. There we go. Okay. So, I believe there is not one pin anywhere on this boy. Gosh, I hope not. I'll give him the squeeze test. I've got all of his bits cladded and covered. His little legs are ready to go. There's a leg. Yeah. So I need to go back a bit. Oh yeah, I can see that logo there, so that'll work. If those legs sit back a bit. Oh, isn't he gorgeous? Oh my goodness. Oh, there's the other leg on the other side. So, yeah. Oops, knocking the camera. Sorry, guys. Yep, that'll work a treat. So, I'll just move him out of the way. Actually, let's have a look at these whiskers. How are we going to do whiskers? Where do whiskers go? They need to be here, don't they? Okay. There's a bit. It's not disintegrating, is it? Oh, no. Okay, so we need a fairly big eye on a needle. Didn't think of that, did I? Where's that big needle that I just had out before? Yeah, I don't think that's going to go through. Nope. Okay. I might have to go rummaging for a bigger needle, like a tapestry needle. Where did I see one of those? Hang on, what's this here? I know I've got big tapestry needles. Oh, but so tiny. I don't know. I'm going to have to need a bigger needle. All right. I might have to go rummaging for a bigger needle, and I don't know if I've got one because that's a tapestry needle. So I might need to find a leather work needle. Anyway, so what I'm thinking I'll do is when I find one, thread it through his cheek and then have it coming out and maybe knot it. Let's pretend that that's through his cheek and then put a knot there and then take the needle off and put another knot, and that would be how the whiskers hang out. This would be inside his cheek, so you won't see that. All you'll see is a little knot here with the whisker hanging out. Does that make sense? I think that's how I'll do it. I'll get that knot a little bit smaller and tighter. It shouldn't be a problem. But that would be a whisker, and maybe 3 whiskers each side. Probably even come up a little bit, a couple up into there. Yeah, I think that's how I'll do it. This bit would be internal. You will see a knot and the whisker hanging out. So all I've got to do is find a needle. So I'll come back at the end of the video with that completed, but I think that'll be pretty simple. Straight through, get the length they want, knot it, knot this side, and have another whisker hanging out. Yep, that'll work. All right, so that will be done. Now, let's have a look for a big needle. Surely, there's my buttons I've chosen too. What did I end up getting? 1 inch. So they're 1 inch. Now, I would have thought there would be something in here. Let's have a look. Come on, Grandma. Oh, what's that? Oh, look at that. It's got like a little hook on the end with a little movable latch and a little handle at the end. How cool is that? Don't need that. There could be something. Oh, here we go. What? Oh no, that's one of those pins. I've never been a knitter. I never really got into knitting. What's that? Oh, hello. I thought it was a knitting. Look at that. Well, that's a beauty. What length is this guy? See, it hasn't even rusted. See, that's quality, isn't it? 10 inches. That will do the trick. What else have we got in here? Oh, there's a hammer. Oh, my goodness. A little hammer. How cute is that? I didn't even know I had it. When we were tidying up Grandma's house, she went into a nursing home and she was still very with it right to the very end, and she was like, what are you doing? Have you done this? Have you kept that? You'll find that. Make sure you keep this. So I was proud to say I found all your knitting needles and I'm going to keep them all. Any other needles in there? No. No. Ooh, what's that? Oh, just a wooden one. That's it. All right. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a gauge. Measuring. Oh, I know. You would, if you didn't know what size needle you had. Is that what that's for? I'd say so. Anyway, sidetrack. It's like a blooming squirrel. Okay. A squirrel. Wouldn't a squirrel be a great pattern? Lesley, if you're watching, a squirrel. Leslie's brought out some new patterns too. There's a pussycat there that caught my eye. Don't know when I'll get him made, but he's certainly on the one-day list. But a squirrel would be pretty cute too. I'm only liking them probably because I'm in Australia and we don't have squirrels. For those of you that do have squirrels are probably thinking, why would you want to make a rodent-like creature? Even a rat. A rat would be cute. Now you're all thinking she's losing it. All right, what have we got here? We have a beauty. Now I wonder, hang on, let's get his whiskers going, hey? Where's that scrap I had? It's a bigger scrap. Yeah, now we're cooking. Thank you, Grandma. Or are we? Come on, please. Surely that is a massive, massive eye. Just need, oh, yep, we got it. Just need, aha, we did it. All right, we are away. Now, sorry, bunny. Oh, that looks gruesome. Oh, how good's this going to look? Oh, come on. Come on. Down you come. Oh, I've got to be careful. This blooming thing is a weapon. I'm going to run it into my ribs if I'm not careful. Oh, my goodness. I bet Susanna's cacking herself laughing about now. Oh, I want to put some pressure behind it, but I don't want to stab myself with this crowbar. Come on. That's it. Got it. So now if I can get a little slip knot into there, I can always trim them. But I think I want them exaggerated too, like quite big. Now I should be able to get a slip knot down there. Yeah. Oh, isn't that just cute? All right, let's go again. I might take the needle the other way so I don't puncture a lung trying to do this. Susanna, stop laughing. Now, let's have another go through here. Out here. Or should I go more over here and over here? Yep, I don't know. Okay, here we go. Pull it through. Oh my goodness. Come on. Ugh. It's the wadding. It's pulling that knot through the wadding. There we go. Where are we? We're nearly there. Let's bring a heap of wadding with it. That's all right. Oh, we got it. Okay, so we brought a heap of wadding with. We can trim that and get that back in. Sorry, bunny. All right, let's get this whisker knotted off this side. How long is that? I feel like I've damaged. Yeah, I have. The needle has cut through. That's better. Let's get that knot there. There is a cut in it. Do not pull it through. Nearly did. So use a fairly, oops, now it's gone back in. I just got to adjust the webbing there. So that would be, if you haven't used Hessian on your cheeks like I have, you will really struggle to get that through normal fabric. So you might have to go down the line of using some embroidery cotton or some wool. It'll be a bit, come on, don't disappear, a bit easier to get his whiskers through. So that may, before you race out and grab some of this vinyl. Oh, I love him. Now his whiskers disappeared again. There we go. All right, let's do another one. And then I think that's it. What a ratty, distinguished looking scrappy hare. I put a knot in this just to, where's the other end? Oh my goodness. Let's get this knot out. I was getting ahead of myself. I'll cut it off for goodness sakes. It's gone. All right, where's that killer needle? All right, we're on. Now, I'll just drop below a fraction. There we go. Pull. Ugh. Nearly there, got it. It's a bit of a trial, isn't it? Okay. Let's get this side done. Once again, it did damage there. It sort of crimped it, but that's okay. It's not like we've not got enough product here to use. I've got white fluff in amongst his whisker. Get that out. Detail, devil in the detail. All right, let's snip that off. Yeah, there we go. And there's his whiskers. I like that length. Oh, isn't it amazing how the little things that you add just sell the story? It's those details. It's the same with drawing. It's when you put the whiskers in. It's when you put the white reflection in the eye. That's when it really, really sells the story. Okay, so we have whiskers, guys. Hello, hello. Oh, gorgeous thing. Anyway, let's stay focused here. Last task is to get these legs on, and I just don't know if I'll be able to pull this off on camera, guys. If it gets a bit hairy, I will stop and go and do it, because I might need to wrangle him, because going on Susanna's story, she was probably sitting on the ground with one foot on his head. I'm going to have a big piece of cotton. She probably had 1 foot on his head, another foot on his back. She said she hurt her neck, so oh my gosh, I don't know what she was doing. That's so funny. Oh gosh, pull it together, girl. All right, so I've got my big dangerous needle. I will attempt to not puncture a lung. Oh my goodness, Susanna. Sorry guys, I'm losing it. Hold it together. Hold it together. Okay, so one leg, another leg. Yep. Just trying to give you the best shot I can. And then it's a case of I will go through him first so that the knot is, you know, in under the leg there. Then I'll come out the leg to the side, you know, out here, and then pick up this, do a U-turn, go back in as close as I can to where I've come out, head through his body, another U-turn, picking up the other button as I go. Some tension on it, not too much tension because you don't want it sort of pulling apart. I might put a bigger knot in that. You could even put a little piece of fabric there, which would help the it not pulling through, like a little piece of felt or something. So, but I'm going to make it a decent knot, nice chunky knot, just to make sure it's, you know, it's sort of there's a point of having enough tension but not enough tension. Does that make sense? So, all right, I will have to do this off camera because I need to. I need to get 1 foot on his head. 1 foot on his back. All right, enough mucking around. I will finish the video for a moment and I will be back and his legs will be on his body. All right, guys. See you in a moment. Bye. Hi, guys. I'm back. I just thought I'd just mention a couple little things that I've just discovered. I started with my knot going on the outside of the leg first. So I come through here and then did a couple little stitches. So I'm ready with the string in his leg. Then I picked up the needle and realised the needle didn't slide through there. So that was a bit of a pain. So I took the big needle off, threaded the thread through. So now that's sitting in the thread and I'm on my way back through the leg, heading into the body. And I'm doing it with him standing so I can see that his heels hit the ground. And then I passed the needle through his entire body and I can sort of see that it's level. So at the moment I have, if I lie him down, I have the needle, the button attached there. It's loose, but it's now on its way through. And then in under here was where I started. Now, I remember something I saw once on a YouTube video that if the thread twists like that, let it twist. It does help with the strength. So you could probably untwist that, which would be your natural instinct. And you'd have it sitting nicely like that. Don't let it twist. That sort of just gives that cotton that little bit extra strength. Now pull it tight-ish so you get that little indent. And while you've got that happening, get your needle in here and secure it off with a stitch, because you might as well take a bit of the tension now while you've got access to his body to get that look of the button going in like that. So give it a little bit of tension and get your stitches in now. Then you know that that leg is pretty much right to go. Now, because I'm pretty much through him, technically I don't need this big horse bloomin' needle. I haven't needed to put a foot on him either, so Susanna. So I don't know what that girl was doing to that rabbit. So we are through. and tension is here for his leg. So that's secure. So all I've got to worry about now is this guy. So I can stand him back up like so. I think half of Susanna's problem was she didn't have a needle that could get through the body of the hare. And I know when I did a bit of Googling, the biggest one I could find around me was 6 inches. So I think I've been very lucky to actually find this bigger needle. So yeah, you can do it. Susanna did it with a smaller needle. But yeah, of course, having that bit extra length is probably a good thing. Okay, so now we've got the second leg needs to be put into position. And I'm looking across his body sort of just to make sure that I can see, you know. I wish I could show you more, but I just can't quite get him into shot. So now I'm sort of by eye working out where I need to come through. And at the end of the day, he's a scrappy hare. If you've got a crooked leg, doesn't matter. No one's going to know. And now I can get rid of that needle, pick up my... You could even go back through and secure that leg at this point as well. So scoop back through, catch it in there, come back out and tension it. I might do that. It just takes a little bit of pressure off the button. I probably should have read the instructions in the pattern. I'm sure Lesley gives you a few extra tips too. But yeah, I'm freewheeling here. I've gone rogue. So now I'm just going to come back through very close, but leaving a little bit of fabric. And just bring that up to the body. And I'm just going to get myself through him again without puncturing a lung. Oh, the camera's being knocked by his ears. So sorry, guys. So I can pull him right up. See, now I've sort of got him into position without... Oops, sorry. Let's move him over a little bit. Now I'm going to come back through and I can pick up the button this time. And I can just draw that in and he has his leg attached without the button needing to be, you know, too much part of the situation. I've got some straggly bits there. So his leg is now on. I might change my needle, I think. I don't need that monster. Yeah. So I'm back to this guy. Yeah, so I guess what I'm learnt here is the button process doesn't have to be the total securing of him. You can do a little bit of, you know, knot work or securing on your way through. And now I can thread my button on. And you've got a couple choices. You can tuck back in underneath his leg down in the back here and knot him off. You may even be able to get the button to secure in the front here, but I think I will go back through his leg, but I'll come out where my fingers are behind here, I think. Yeah, there we go. Now, I don't know if this is the right way to do it. This is just how it seemed to make sense to me. So now the pressure's off, his legs are on, and I can just get in here and do a little sneaky slip knot just to secure that button. That way too, if the button does come adrift at some point, his legs technically probably not going to fall off because you've got a few knots on your way. So that should be secure. I'll just do one more. Can't hurt, hey? go. All right, so just recapping on how I did that. I brought my needle through the leg first from the inside. So that's the leg. This is the body. I went through the leg, came out, picked up the button and came back through. Then on my way through the body, I came out the other side and did a few stitches to pull that leg in nice and tight. So one leg is pretty much attached and stitched off. Then all I had to worry about was getting the second leg, and did a combination of changing the needle to sort of suit where I was. So he's done. He has his little legs attached. They're sitting nicely. The buttons are on and tensioned. He's got his whiskers on. He's done. All right, guys, that's it. We have one Hendricks hare. Thank you for joining me. It turned out to be, I think, 8 episodes, so I hope you enjoyed the journey. What am I going to do with this blooming needle? It's dangerous. I'm going to put it back where I got it from, and that way I will remember that if I need to get a big needle, it's with all of Grandma's bits and bobs. Otherwise, it'll go into the abyss, and I pull it out in 10 years' time, and I won't remember where I put it, so I will now. Okay, I think that's it. You know what I could probably do? I know this is heading off again. Whoops, sorry. I think his legs could do with a little bit more doilies. I'm fiddling now. I just feel like I could fit maybe a little one. Maybe I'll just leave it alone. Yeah, a little one. Where's my pins? See, it never ends, does it? Trim that a little bit. Can't hurt. I'm going to stitch that onto there. You just could keep embellishing. Like, I didn't even put buttons on him. He could have buttons. Does he need buttons? Yeah, he might get a couple buttons. Let's put that one on there. Gosh, never ends, does it? Like, I really like. One could go there. Yeah. Oh, I'm still going. Like, seriously? Put down the rabbit. That's a movie. Put down the bunny. What was the words? The Con Air movie with Nicolas Cage. And he's got this, he's out of jail, but he's a low-level criminal, but he's on a plane full of really bad criminals. And everything goes pear-shaped. I'm way going over time now, I'm sure. Everything goes pear-shaped and the plane crashes, and these really nasty, nasty characters are in amongst the prisoners. And, of course, then there's employees from the prison that are escorting them. And Mr. Nicolas Cage, he turns out to be the hero. Not only does he save all the employees, he captures all the bad guys. There's a lot of flames. The plane crashes and there's more flames. And he's got this rabbit. I'm sure it's a rabbit. Put down the bunny. Yeah, it's a rabbit that he's bought. And he's on his way home to see his family after having done time for a crime he didn't commit. You know, the usual story. Sure, he's totally innocent, but he saves the day. And right at the very end, the plane is just, you know, burst into flames. They're on the tarmac. He spent half an hour wrangling all of these nasty characters, saving everyone. And the guy, I think the guy he thought was, you know, finished, the bad guy, comes back out of the ashes. I think that's how it goes. I don't know. And the bad guy grabs the bunny. Why am I even going down this storyline? The guy grabs the bunny, and Nicolas Cage, who is just exhausted from catching them all and saving the day, he's walking across the tarmac and he sees the bad guy's got the bunny And the bunny is just, it looks so gorgeous at the beginning of the movie. Now the bunny's black with soot and dirt and half an ear hanging off. And the classic line is put down the bunny or put down the rabbit. I don't know. I'm going to have to watch the blooming movie now to refresh my memory. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to say to myself. Just put down the rabbit and stop stitching onto him. Like, these rabbits seriously could be the gatherer of treasures too. Now that we've got him made, if you come across a little doily snippet or a piece of lace that you just want to keep somewhere and admire, stitch him on. Stitch him on your Hendrick. Anyway, I've got 2 more doilies to stitch, and I'm going to say goodbye because I'm sure I've hit the hour, and leave you all in peace and quiet. And I'm going to go and find that movie and watch it because I'm thinking I need a little bit of Nicolas Cage. All right, guys, enjoy your day, enjoy your Hendricks, and thank you, Lesley, for allowing me to, you know, make myself a rabbit or a hare and being so gracious. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.